Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus today is on human trafficking. Trafficking occurs in cities, suburbs, and rural areas, and traditionally, traffickers have subjected women and girls to sex trafficking in brothels, bars, and massage parlors. However, in an attempt to better conceal their crimes, some traffickers have changed tactics and now exploit victims in hotel rooms and even private apartments, making them harder for law enforcement to detect. My first guest is Dr. Debbie Lassiter. She is the founder and CEO of Convergence Resource Center. It's a faith-based community service nonprofit organization that provides support for men and women rebuilding their lives after trauma, including survivors of human trafficking. How are you, Dr. Lassiter?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. And I want you to tell us more about your organization and how it got started.
Okay, our organization actually started out working with women that were being released from incarceration, now called Justice Involved Women. But after working with them for a while, which I have over 40 years experience doing this, Convergence is about 14 years old now.
Okay.
But as we work with those women, we saw an intersection between what we now call human trafficking, but then called prostitution. And these women were incarcerated and were looking for ways to stay out of what we call the life now. And we saw a organization develop that was beginning to help them, but not the psychological pieces. And so we delved into that part. And so we're working very closely with the psychological piece. But there were three separate incidences. One of them was a young lady that had come here from Africa, and she had been through a coup and got here and got trafficked and was being sent back home at the end of her sentence. And she told us, if they send me back, they're going to kill me when I get off the plane. Wow. Well, we lost touch with her. And then there was another one, a grandmother, who her granddaughter was being trafficked. And every time they would rescue her, she would escape to get back to the trafficker. They didn't understand that, and neither did we. But now we do understand because of the psychological thing. So those incidences pushed us toward looking deeper into this.
Yeah, and you said some key things right off the bat when you said someone came from Africa. And human trafficking, this is not just something that happens in Milwaukee or Minnesota or, you know, it's all over the globe. Yes, and it's different levels of trafficking. Some of it is putting young women to work when they're way too young to even withstand the conditions that they're working in, and some of it, of course, as we know, deals with sex trafficking. So many different things that are done to individuals across the globe. And I think that it's important to talk about, because spreading awareness and letting people know how they can help make a difference really does help. So you mentioned that you work with women who have experienced traumatic situations in life, but you also work with men as well, right?
Yes, we have a men's team called Pinnacle under the direction of Tim Young. And Pinnacle for the last 3 years has been working with men and boys to help them be able to stand against the demand for human trafficking. It's a supply and demand business. If we don't have a demand, we don't need a supply. But a trafficker will find out what you like, and that's the demand side. So every age group, every ethnic background, socioeconomic status, doesn't matter who you are, male, female, there is a demand for you. And as long as there's a demand for you, a trafficker will supply that. Yeah. So when we're working on the supply side, helping the victims, we have to also work on the demand side to help. And in this case, we're going after the largest one that we are aware of, which is the sex trafficking. So we're going after the men because they're the largest customers, not because they're the only customers,
right? Because
there are also female customers as well as traffickers. And so the HAP project has been going on, like I said, for 3 years. And men and boys, it's really amazing. 17-year-old boys, 16-year-old boys have come up to our survivors sometime after the presentation and said, "I just apologize for all of mankind. Can I hug you?" And so then they want something to do. How can I help? Well, that's what HAP is doing, training up teams to go out and make presentations and educate.
Okay, so we're talking about spiritual growth and support, all of these different things. And the city of Milwaukee has actually been identified as a hub for human trafficking. And we've talked about this subject before on this particular show. And I found out then that Milwaukee is referred to as the Harvard of pimping. So that's disturbing when you really really give it thought. So if you could help us understand why and how Milwaukee becomes a hub.
Well, in my opinion, okay, because a lot of these things can't be really proven one way or the other, but the factors line up to say it. First of all, Milwaukee was always considered a small town, okay? So
A little big town?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
something like
Something
that.
like that.
So we really weren't keeping our eyes open for things that we thought wouldn't hit our town. So it kind of crept in like that. And one of the easiest ways it crept in was through the freeway. I-94.
Yeah.
Goes straight
That leads
through.
you from Illinois to Wisconsin,
Exactly.
Minnesota. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the traffickers that we come in contact with have come from Chicago or Illinois in that area. Of course, we have a really good homegrown base right here, though. And so that, along with some of the disparities where people are in poverty, and they're looking for ways to make money, because human trafficking in many cases is the family business. It is what the father is teaching the sons, it is what the mother is teaching the daughters. So the girls believe that they were born to do this, and the guys believe that they were born to traffic them.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Well, here's the thing. You've have what's referred to as a human and sex trafficking support initiative.
Yes.
And what I think is important is to point out that I think a lot of people understand that sex trafficking has to do with one being put in a position to make money for someone else using their body. But what I don't think people fully understand is that, one, it's not a situation that's easy for people to walk away from, because you hear people say, well, why is she still there? Why does she go back? Or whatever the case. So that's the part where we need people like you to help educate so that people have a better understanding of the complexity of this situation and how the people that are traffickers don't necessarily present themselves as that. They come and present themselves as something totally different, depending on what they feel like that individual needs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the most dangerous traffickers is the Romeo Trafficker, because the Romeo Trafficker, and we've had women say, my trafficker wooed me for 2 to 3 years. You know, the snatch and grab is what we hear about, where they're snatching them off the street or snatching them out of school. But the Romeo Trafficker is very dangerous, because the Romeo Trafficker will take the time to get to know your entire family, to get to know you. He will be your boyfriend. You will go on trips together. He will buy presents for the family. He'll come to family events, and everyone's guard will relax. You know, when you first meet this new guy, everybody's watching him. But after a year, oh, he's pretty cool. He's part of the family. 2 or 3 years, nobody's paying attention anymore. You know, so then he takes you on that one trip where he asks for a favor because he's in trouble. Well, you love him because he's done all this stuff for you.
Wow.
You know, and you say no at first, but he keeps asking. And you, I'm in love with him. He's in trouble. I can help him. I'll do it just this one time. And there you go.
Wow. So, and it's really, that's where it becomes psychological, I guess. And the thing is, you've not only come up with your support initiative, you also have a support line. So talk more about that.
So what our support line is, well, it's what's called a warm line of support. 211 is resources. 411 is information. We're not 911 where the police are coming. Human trafficking survivors have an array of psychological problems, PTSD, Stockholm Syndrome, where they're identifying with their trafficker. They form trauma bonds, so their trafficker becomes the good guy and you become the bad guy. You know, all of these things, flashbacks, nightmares, all of this is happening to them. When they wake up in the middle of the night with a nightmare, they could be in a room surrounded with people, but if those people don't understand what's happening to them and how to talk them down out of that, they're still going to have that for longer than they needed to. That's where we come in. They call us when they wake up with a nightmare or they're having a trauma episode. We've had women call the center and say, hey, I just need to come up there. And then they sit here for hours and just, they don't understand, why did they do this to me? I've been out of this for years and I can't survive. So we're there to be that listening ear. And when they hang up, they're still in control of their secrets because we don't tell them to anybody.
Absolutely. So do you also have resources that you're able to give to some of the people that contact you through the support line?
We're very, very aware that this is not a problem that one agency or one organization can fix. So we have partnerships with organizations, and we're part of several task forces throughout the city and throughout the state. We have resources in and out of the state, because sometimes you got to put a girl on a bus and get her out of Milwaukee or get her out of Wisconsin. So we have resources and partnerships in several other states. We're national and now starting to go international. We've actually had 15 countries, delegates from 15 countries come and visit us to talk about what we're doing and how they can implement it in their country.
That's amazing, and that's where you really just start to kind of chip away at you know, understanding, and the same things they know you might not have discovered yet. So you're all sharing information and together making a difference in the lives of many people. Well, I definitely want you to give out the phone number to your support line in case there is someone who's watching and would need to jot that down or share it with someone they know.
Sure. And that support line number is 414-797-3047. That's 414-797-3047. They can call or they can text, because sometimes texting is easier. They can also get us on our Facebook page for convergenceresource.org. We're there to help the people. We in no way are there to establish ourselves. It just happened as a result of what we were doing. Because that psychological, that trauma package that we have has helped a lot of survivors, and they'll tell you themselves it takes years to come out of this. You're not coming out of this and just being okay in a year. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. When you look at some of the incarceration issues, people have a problem finding employment sometimes, because here they've developed a record maybe being arrested for prostitution, when in reality they were forced to be in that situation. So you guys are helping them be able to figure out, you know, how do we rectify that and then at the same time find you employment.
Right. So one of the things that we do, we have a program called Earn Survivor Support. Survivors many times are not going to be able to come out of the life and then just go right into a job. Employers are not going to understand why you're falling asleep at work or why you're difficult to talk to at times. So what we do is we have an Earn Survivor Support program, which when we have proper funding for it, they come to the center for 8 hours a week and they actually work. And through this funding we get, we're able to pay them a small stipend, but at the same time they can get all the services that they need. You know, we don't penalize them for going to a class if it's at the same time they were there working. And what we're finding is that many times the impact of having some place to go every day at a certain time helps them. And so that's why we established it, because one of the tactics of traffickers is to upset your sleep schedule. They make you stay up while everybody else is sleeping. So we never think about that. They can be up for days while everyone else is sleeping. Well, I can't stay up for days and then go to work. You know,
or if you're used to being up from midnight till 6 in the morning, and then you get a job, you know, that is third shift maybe, then that's not going to. Well, no, well, I get it mixed up, but you know what I mean, vice versa.
Right,
so if you are used to being up at a certain time, which would quite naturally be the time you would work. I get it all confused. You know what I mean?
When people get off of work, it's usually like 5 o'clock in the evening on a normal day. Well, a lot of clients are now ready for their services. So you're getting up at 5 to get ready to go to work. You're working from 5 o'clock at night, till 6 or 7 in the morning. And now I can't go to work at 9 o'clock now in the morning.
Okay. Thank you for helping me figure out the clock. I'm like, it's just hard when you're used to being asleep and it's time to be to work, and the other way around. So support awareness services. This is huge because, like I said before, raising public awareness about the risk and signs is an important piece of any anti-trafficking prevention strategy. So that means that if someone like myself or you or anyone watching, if you see certain things, then there's something you can do to possibly try to help an individual. But I've heard that you're not supposed to just walk up and say something. So let's clarify that.
Not usually. And if you do it very, be trained as to how to do it. I'm a big advocate of training, not only for people that want to work in this arena, but my staff as well. And so we do a 3-hour training, and we've done it all over the state for people. Not only do you need to understand what trafficking is, what it looks like, and the different methods of it. But you need a basic understanding of what trauma is and what that looks like on people. And then we have a curriculum that we've developed. We call a SIP, but it's Survivor Interaction Protocol. How do I work with? How do I deal with? How do I walk alongside a survivor after they've come out, or if they've been out for a while? What are there certain things that I shouldn't do or I shouldn't say? You know, and we have a problem with that, because many times if we're working with them, we think we own them. And so if they do something we don't like get a boyfriend we don't like, we think, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to punish you by not picking you up. I'm going to punish you by not allowing you to participate in this program because I don't like that guy you're dating. That's a problem. That's a mistake. You know, and so we need to learn how to work with them in the arena they're in, and also understand that everybody grows at their own pace.
Yeah.
You know.
And before we go to break, you've got a couple of upcoming events, one in August and another one in September. So just want to give you a chance to mention those.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The August event actually is to support the September event.
Okay.
So August 16th, we have our Applebee's Flapjack Pancake Breakfast.
Sounds
and
good to me.
It's really great. We actually serve you the breakfast at Applebee's. You can go to our website and purchase tickets in that for that. They'll go on sale around the 1st of August.
Okay.
But that is to support our other event in September, which is the Epidemic in the Game. We've been doing this for 4 years. Each year, it's a statewide awareness event. And what we do is we address a certain issue in relation to human trafficking. The first one we addressed was it's the ramifications of the health ramifications. Well, this year we're looking at a very specific topic, human trafficking as it affects the family.
Okay.
And because nobody's really looking at that. And we have survivors sit across from us and say, I told my family, I know they love me, but they just stared at me. They didn't know what to do. And then we get calls from fathers, mothers, grandmothers. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to relate to her. I don't know what to say. I tried to hug her and she jumped. So that family, those families need help. And so we're going to be talking about that in September at our Epidemic in the Game event. Thank you so much.
Yes, and we want you to stick around because we're going to continue this conversation when we return to Our Issues Milwaukee. We're going to talk more about Convergence Resource Center with the founder and CEO, Dr. Debbie Lassiter, and we'll be joined by a survivor who has not only beaten the odds, but she shares her story to help others do the same. We will be right back.